What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits. I know I'm doing a bit of a different look today. And although I have sat in this seat before, I think it was at the end of May. And now here I am trying to make sure that all is on and popping here and that we're rolling and doing a good job. I hope you guys could hear me and see me okay. But welcome. If this is your first time, and if this is more than your first time, 10th time, 20th time, welcome back. As we deliver another live stream here on a Wednesday, let's pull up the date, October the 15th, the Ides of October. I know that doesn't really ring. It's not the Ides of March, but still, we are in the middle of the month, and it's just going to continue to fly by. To think 2 weeks from this coming Friday, it's Halloween. Next thing you know, it'll be Thanksgiving. You'll be watching all the NFL games there that Thursday. And then you're going to hear Mariah Carey from now until the end of the year, or not now, but you get it from the time that the kickoff in Detroit will take place around 12:30. You're going to hear Mariah Carey ringing in your ears from then until about, we'll say December 28th, because they'll still play that song even after Christmas. And then it'll be Happy New Year. So not to try to rush time, of course, as I always like to say, you want to be in the moment. You want to stay right here, right, Pat. And I'll get to the comments there in a second. But yeah, that's how fast time is flying. And with the way that this month is going, especially with everything that's happening in sports, lots going on, lots to unpack here. Of course, share your thoughts in the chat room. I'll post on screen, as you all know. And on top of all that, for those who are watching the replay, leave a comment. Don't be shy. Feel free to speak whatever it is that's on your mind, whether you agree, disagree, whether you like what I have to say, don't like what I have to say, whatever it is. I don't care. I'll be more than happy to discuss and unpack and get into all that is happening in the world of competition. And as I'm typing this on the fly, so you got to bear with me before I get to your comments, the baseball is where I'm going to begin, because I understand NFL and the college football. We have plenty of time to talk about what's going to happen there between the stuff that's happening on the gridiron, as well as what's going to take place there on the ice with the NHL, as we're now a week into the season. And then the NBA starts not only less than a week, but 6 weeks from today, which is unbelievable when you think about it. But with that being said, let's get to the comments. I'm sure, they're pouring in quick, fast, in a hurry. To my guy Brent, of course, north of the border. Morning, everyone, 53 degrees. That's not too bad, considering. Right now, what is it, about 60-something here? It was about 53 this morning, and right now it is 65, but it feels like 60. The sun hasn't come out in almost a week, although it's trying to come out today, but we had that nor'easter, which came through, and it was, just very dark, and I don't want to say it was chilly, but it was cool enough. And to think, 8 days ago it was almost 80 degrees, and I understand there I go now, living in the past, as I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago, knowing that time's going to fly. Stay in the moment, Jay Real. Stay in the moment. So for 53 degrees in Ontario right now, that's pretty good. How about the complete game by Yamamoto? Yes, we will talk about that. Absolutely. And Brent, Red Wings mini sweep of the Winers in Toronto. Let's go Red Wings. Hey, that's a pretty good job by them. And, Keegan Murray out 4 to 6 weeks. Do they sign Russell Westbrook? They may have no choice. He'll get playing time, and he'll certainly give them a little bit of credibility, but what's left in his tank, that remains to be seen. Thought the Brewers would get at least one at home. And, Brent, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit later on. And we had that discussion yesterday, which I know I got to follow up. I know you sent me some text late last night. But one thing for sure, when we talk about what is going on with the AL and NLCS, and the Brewers are going to be a hot topic, because of something that Brent has brought up here in recent memory, and something that I posted on the YouTube channel. The attritions appear to be on a mission from God. Oh, the Tritons you're talking about. Yes. There they go right there. And I think you're absolutely right. Of course, we'll talk about that. Tatsuya, what's happening? Yeah, Rhoda Purist, Metropolitan, Jonathan. What else? Didn't you have, I know there's one. Everyday Mets. What's going on, Tatsuya? Good to have you on board, as always. Yes, Brent. Volpe got surgery on his shoulder. I didn't hear about that. Really? Oh, that's news to me. Sharks have lost 3 games, 0-1-2 their record. Yes, we'll get into a little bit of hockey later on there. Val B, you know I got you covered. NHL and Bio, of course, representing 6 more wins. You know I'm going to unpack that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start off with that in a second. But I want to get through some of these comments here. Of course, Val showing love as always. LCS is over. Dodgers Mariners World Series. Yes, I think that's what's going to happen there. Big win, absolutely. And yes, my guy Cole, I'm sure Fishing Angel may have an appearance. I know a different look here today, people, but I know I'm looking at the laptop this way and the camera over here, so bear with me. But Brent, I know you're going to hang on to your hat because I'm going to start off this live stream pretty much what baseball purists had to say. It is over. This is the nightmare that Rob Manfred is right now going through, as I'm sure. And he's probably saying, oh, well, hey, Dodgers and Mariners, they're going to be the 2 best teams. It's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. But here's the sad part. They may have to move the World Series up until Tuesday, which is something that they don't want to do because they want to try to avoid the NFL by all means possible. And with the World Series scheduled to start a week from this coming Friday, which would be, think about that, Halloween. I find that interesting. But now they're hoping and praying that, especially whether it be today or tonight in Seattle or tomorrow in LA, for the Brewers and Mariners, or I should say for the Brewers and Blue Jays, for them to go ahead and at least make this AL and NLCS interesting. If not, they could be staring at sweeps, minimum 5-game series. I know they would have their fingers crossed, among other things, to get those series back to Toronto and Milwaukee because, let's face it, right now it is a formality that both of these teams are on a collision course for a World Series. And I'm going to start off with what happened there last night. First off, who's going to beat the Dodgers? Can we start there? I don't think anybody, even Seattle. And Seattle has very good pitching, and their offense is clicking, at least in this series right now. Of course, they were struggling to score runs other than Game 3 in the DS against the Tigers. But I don't see anybody beating this Dodger team. And this is going to be the primary footnote that I want to discuss, because the secondary one is the one that I really want to unpack when we talk about the Brewers. But I want to start with the Dodgers first. When you have 2 pitching performances in the last 2 nights that your starters pitched 17 of the 18 innings, that just right there goes to show you that, A, starting pitching is a thing in baseball, i.e. David Stearns. I hope if you're watching, listening, which I know you're not, I hope you're taking notes. And I understand that Blake Snell is a former 2-time Cy Young Award winner and a guy who in the regular season is going to take considerable amount of time off until you get to October. And all you've seen from Blake Snell here so far during this month has been dominance. His ERA is minuscule. He's 3-0, and he's showing why that when he's on his game, he is one of the top pitchers in the sport. Now, the thing with Snell is that he can be wild. He can walk the ballpark, and therefore his pitches go up. So he's a 5 or 6 inning pitcher. I mean, think about this. Snell is a guy who pitched a no-hitter last year, I believe, or maybe it was 2 years ago. And that was his first complete game in his career. And the second longest outing of his major league career was 2 nights ago. So this is a guy that's going to pitch 6, dare I even say get to the 7th inning, but technically he's a 5 or 6 inning pitcher. He's usually on the shelf as he only has 11 starts this year. But now he's coming into this month saying, okay, well, for those who want to knock me or knock my contract that he got 5 years for $182 million, and therefore for him to not even pitch 25, 30 starts, for him to pitch not even a dozen starts this year, well, of course, the one thing in question he's going to ask is, how you like me now? And when the money's on the line, you got to shut up because he has delivered. And even though the Dodgers had to sweat that 9th inning, Roki Sasaki didn't have it. And I thought that was the right decision for Dave Roberts to put in Sasaki there. Granted that Snell was at 103 pitches. But how I looked at that scenario was he went 8. I understand 1 hit, 10 strikeouts, no walks, but give the ball to Sasaki, let him close the game out, and go home with a 1-0 series victory. As it was, Sasaki had to get pulled, got into some trouble, and Blake Trinan had to bail him out. And I understand that there was a little bit of controversy I don't want to say it was controversy. That's a little too strong. But for Bryce Terang to jackknife out of that pitch there from Trinan, and people would thought if he would have leaned into that pitch with the bases loaded, that would have brought in a run. Who knows how the inning would have unfolded? But then I'm sure you would have had Dave Roberts say that, hey, he didn't try to get out of the way of the pitch and therefore took a hit batsman on purpose. So you would have had that scenario unfold. But as it was, Trinan had gotten Bryce Terang out on a pitch over his head to strike him out, and the ball game was over, game one in the books. And then last night, when you had Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the first pitch of the game, and his night goes over the wall for a home run, and not that you're thinking that the Brewers are going to have an uprising, but you're thinking, all right, maybe Yamamoto's not going to have it. Well, not only did he surrender 2 hits throughout the rest of the game, but went a complete game. The last time you saw a complete game in an AL or NLCS was 8 years ago to the day when Justin Verlander did it against the Yankees in game 2. So this thing about starting pitching, this thing about, we have to get to the bullpen, this recipe of have your starters go 6 and then throw out a pitcher in the 7th, a reliever in the 8th, and in the 9th, and go home is nonsense. And hopefully the Dodgers are showing the other 29 GMs in baseball that, you know what, starting pitching does matter. And for Yamamoto to have that performance there last night, and for the Dodgers to continue to hit the way they have, Teoscar Hernandez with another home run, Kike Hernandez always in the middle of rallies, Max Muncy with a home run, and the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, who has been absolutely silent after that first game against the Reds in the wild card, gets an RBI, and the Dodgers are now up 2 games to love in this NLCS to where, do you think this series is going to go back to Milwaukee? Absolutely not. Do I think there's going to be a sweep? Something tells me that the baseball gods are looking at LA right now to think that after the Brewers swept them in the regular season, it would be only fitting that the Dodgers would return the favor here in an NLCS. So, as I mentioned, close to the very top, who's beating this team? This team is healthy, number one. This team is stacked, as we all know. Their rotation right now is beyond intact because you're going to throw Ohtani and Glasnow in these next 2 games. Now, Glasnow, I know, is a guy that is I'll say good to very good pitcher. He's another one that can't stay healthy, and he's another one that does have lights out stuff, but he has been unable to back it up in big spots. And even though he pitched well in the game against the Phillies there, what was it, game 4? But Glasnow, we know he could put forth that big effort, and it's a situation where the Brewers, they're going to be pitching openers in these next 2 games. And it just goes to show you the amount of talent on one side of the ball field, and then on the other, despite the fact that that team won 97 games or 96 games this year, them being the Brewers. And I'm going to get to them in a minute, and I'm going to get to an even bigger question that Brent and I got back and forth with which you'll find rather fascinating. But as far as the Dodgers, again, I'd be shocked if they don't win a World Series this year. And this is coming from, it's not going on a limb, number one, and this is coming from somebody that obviously, when you watch how this team has been able to win these games, especially in October, whether it's to bludgeon the Reds, and I understand the Reds were low-hanging fruit, or the Phillies, who were unable to get a big hit to save their lives and obviously made big plays when they had to, whether it was the wheel play there, Mookie Betts tagging out Nick Castellanos at third in game 2 of the division series, and just getting big hit after big hit after big hit. And what more can you say about this Dodgers team that hasn't already been said? That's all there is to it. Now, the flip side, the Brewers. I've been saying this since the middle of July. And here's where it's going to get interesting when we talk about this topic of discussion. And I understand that you do have to be in the moment. I understand that you have to analyze it for what it's worth on that given day, night, time, etc. But something in my gut told me that even as far back as July, I said to you all, and for those who follow me and for those who watch, how I need to see this in October. And the Brewers, they had 14-game winning streaks. They had a stretch where they are, I believe, off the top of my head, what were they, like 48-14 or whatever it was, to overtake the division from the Cubs. And they went cruising into a bye, and they had to sweat it out against a Cub team who I understand that's their rivals and they know them well, etc. But They were up 2-0. And all right, you lose a game at Wrigley, fine. But then to lose 6-0 in that game number 4 to come back, and they had to get the 3 solo home runs and had to eke by a Cub team that was game, but for a team that, let's face it, they're a regular season team. They're built to win from March to the end of September. They're not built for October. They're just not. And I understand the Dodgers are a juggernaut, and I understand that they're constructed a lot differently than a majority of the major league teams. But here's all you need to know. You could push aside Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. And it's just from the starting lineup perspective. You mean to tell me like guys in the ilk of Bryce Terang, Caleb Durbin, Joey Ortiz, and players of that ilk, Sal Frelick, the center fielder, those guys can't match what Kike Hernandez, Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, Will Smith, and I won't even put Teoscar Hernandez because Hernandez is a borderline all-star, and he may have even been an all-star this year. So when you take the 4 that I mentioned from the Brewers, and you take the 4 that I mentioned from the Dodgers. Now, I understand those guys won a World Series. So that's your first argument. Say, well, Jay Rios, they won a World Series. So you can't even compare those. But no, those are the fringe players on the Dodger team compared to the fringe players on the Brewer team. And you cannot, they're not even in the same stratosphere. Because Kike Hernandez, like I said a few minutes ago, he's always in the middle of big rallies. Will Smith is a guy that's dangerous at the bottom of the order. And he batted cleanup last year, if you recall, for the 4th or 5th for the Dodgers during their World Series run, because you did have Teoscar bat 4th or 5th, actually batted 5th, and I know that game 5 against the Yankees. But Smith is at the bottom of the order. Tommy Edman won an NLCS MVP last year, and he's a guy that's a pain in the neck. And Max Muncy, the guy has a great eye at the plate, hit a big home run, as you saw there yesterday. The Sal Frelicks, the Bryce Terangs, look at Bryce Terang did in game 1. Swung at a ball that was over his head. You think Tommy Edman's doing that? You think Kike Hernandez is doing that? You think Teoscar Hernandez is doing that? You think any of those guys that I mentioned on the Dodgers are doing that? Absolutely not. And that's why the Brewers, I have to see this in October. And even with their best pitcher on the mound yesterday, and granted that he went into the 6th inning, gave it the home run to Muncy, and that was it. And they had to bring in their de facto closer, Abner Uribe, in the 6th inning to just save their bacon. It just goes to show you that the Brewers, because of their payroll, and I get it that they don't have the resources, but we've seen this time after time after time, which now leads to the big question that Brent and I were going back and forth on. And I get it that, Brent, you're 100% right. You do have to see the team for what it is today. You can't go back to 2018 when they lost to the Dodgers in the NLCS that year. You can't go back to them losing to the Braves in 2021 in 4 games when they had the home field advantage. You can't go back to them last year, the wild card series when they lost to the Mets. I get it. They're different teams, different makeup of players. Even though last year's team, I understand no Willie Adames and no Devin Williams, but it's pretty much the same team this year as they were last year. And they were actually better considering that they were the top seed and had the best record in all of Major League Baseball. But I hate to say it. They could have won 115 games. And here's another example. A team that's in the playoffs now, and I understand you can't compare this team to the team of 2001 with the Seattle Mariners, but when the Mariners won 116 games in a regular season, and they were in a rock fight against the Cleveland, at the time, Indians in a 5-game series in which they won. But they were going up against the Yankees, and everybody knows how much I can't stand the Yankees. But I got news for you. Even back in 2001, when I knew that the Mariners were going up against the Yankees, I knew in my gut that they had no shot. They were going up against a team that had won 4 of the past 5 World Series. They were on the verge of going to a 4th straight World Series and to win 4 straight, which they didn't do, as we know. But the bottom line was that I even knew, despite Ichiro's rookie year and his MVP years, we found out later on, the 116 win regular season and the juggernaut that they were, that actually eclipsed the 98 Yankees and what they did in the regular season. But that was laughable because I knew in my heart of hearts that even though in the moment, wow, got to give it up to the Mariners, but I don't think any baseball fan even back then knew that the Mariners had any shot to beat the Yankees. And as it was, what happened? The first 2 games in Seattle, Yankees just took care of them and dusted them off. And it wasn't until game 3 when the Mariners got back. I think they won like 14-1 in that game 3. But then what happened? You had Alfonso Soriano hit a game-winning home run there in Game 4, and you knew that the Mariners were toast. And then Game 5 was a coronation. And over time, I've seen this way too, and I have a zillion examples. And the Mariner, just from a baseball standpoint, is one to put forth as evidence to know that teams who have had big regular seasons or teams that you know that could be a team to be reckoned with in the postseason. But one more time, if the Brewers were up 2-0 going into LA, and even though that series would be far from over, knowing that the next 3 games were in LA, but I would still have to say, well, they still have to win 2 more games. I'd have to give them credit if it was a situation where, all right, they're up 2-0, they took care of home field. Let me see them win just 1 game in Dodger Stadium, or better yet, you really want to show me win 2, and then I will go ahead and say, you know what, I got to tip my cap. And let's just say this. Even if the Brewers win the next 3 games, I still have to see them win that 4th one. Because knowing that they lost the first 2 in their building, what makes me think that even if they do win the next 3, and I don't think they will, but if they go back to Milwaukee up 3-2, that it's a slam dunk shoo-in that they're going to win the series. And that's why for Brent, and I understand your argument, that argument being, well, you got to look at what they've done this year and give them at least enough respect and credit to know that, and the series isn't over. I understand that. But it is going back to LA. And I'm going to be blunt. They don't have a snowball chance in hell to get out of this series. And I don't even think they're going to get out of LA alive. I'd actually be, I won't say shocked, but I'd be surprised if they get out of LA alive. Because think about it. They got Ohtani and Glass now pitching the next 2 games, and then you're going to have Blake Snell pitch Game 5. And what are the Brewers going to pitch? Bullpen games? I mean, you got to be kidding. No Brandon Woodruff. They don't have another bona fide starter that could go in there and try to keep that Dodger offense at bay. And the Dodger offense hasn't even exploded. I mean, it scored 7 runs, 5 yesterday, but they only had the 2 in Game 1. And I'm going to believe or think that the Brewers actually have a shot to win this series, knowing what the matchups are going to be the next 2 nights. Well, after tonight, tomorrow and Friday. They have no shot, no chance. And this isn't to prove to Brent, because Brent, you know, hey, I got much love for you, much respect, etc. And I know that he's probably thinking that, well, Jay Reels feels the way he does. And of course, I have a right to feel that way. And Brent has the right to feel his way. And you know what? I agree with that. Because it's easy to lump a recent track record of teams that have foiled in the postseason, just like it was for so many years with the Red Sox, how they've been unable to get over the hump until 2004. Or even the Mets. There may be a day, hopefully when I'm alive, that they win a World Series, because every season is different. And even though the way this season unfolded, I knew that they were going to fold like a cheap suit down the stretch. And granted that I can't compare when it was happening in real time, I can't compare what's happening in 2025 to what happened in 2022, to what happened in 2008, to what happened in 2007, to what happened in 1998, and go through all of the foibles of Met history. I understand that. But sadly, my gut's going to tell me otherwise until I feel that, wow, this team has a shot. And even last year, in their magic carpet ride to the NLCS, where they had to win the day after the regular season because they had that makeup series against the Atlanta Braves, where they had to make up 2 of those games. And even though they won that first game of the doubleheader, which clinched that playoff berth, and if you would have asked me then, they're going to make it to the NLCS, I would have laughed at you. But as they did and got that far, it was a pleasant surprise. But generally, when the Mets are expected to do well and expected to go far in a postseason, that's when they, of course, kick me in the groin. So, and I'll get to your comments there. I know they're getting up there. And I'm sure, Brent, if you're still there, you have quite a bit to say, which is great. And that's what I love about having this type of discussion. But there isn't a right or wrong answer when it comes to, oh, well, it's a foregone conclusion that this team is going to fail, or this team's not going to get to a World Series, or this team is this team is that. No, but we watch the games. We follow what's going on. And yes, there is something to be said that from one year to the next, or in that moment when a team is hot or a team is playing well, that you got to give them their due. or give them the respect as the Brewers have throughout the course of the regular season. But this is a whole different beast. And they do not have the talent or even the DNA, anything close to what the Dodgers have. And as we saw in the previous series against the Cubs, this is their first playoff since when? 2020? During the pandemic year. And that's not to say that the Cubs didn't have enough to beat the Brewers. As we saw, that wasn't the case. And it's not to knock the Cubs, but at the same time, they're stepping up in class here. They're stepping up against a team that knows how to win, that's been there, done that. And on top of all that, even just like I mentioned before, when we look at their lineup, or at least the bottom part of their lineup to the Brewer bottom part of the lineup, those guys couldn't play in the Dodgers even as a utility guy. Now, that's a bit of a stretch, but my point is that you think Sal Frelick is going to play center field in the Dodgers or on the Dodgers? Or he's going to a guy like Caleb Durbin to play third base over Max Muncy? There's no way. He'd be lucky if he's even on the team, let alone on the bench or coming off the bench. Those guys do not have what it takes to play on that type of team. And that's not to knock their talent or their ability, but that just goes to show you that when you take it position by position, Joey Ortiz is a good shortstop. But even if Mookie Betts wasn't at short and you put a guy like Tommy Edman there, I mean, Edman is a guy, he's a gamer. He's a guy that works pitches, works counts, and pitchers, that is, not pitches. He knows what it takes to win. I'm sorry, Joey Ortiz doesn't have that. Same for Caleb Durbin. Same for the center fielder. Same for Bryce Terang. I mean, come on, guys. Who are we kidding here? And you can't even compare Jackson Chourio and Christian Yelich to the likes of Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, or Mookie Betts. You can't. It's unfair. Chourio's just getting started in his major league career, and Yelich is a shell of his old self. And I understand he's still productive, but you mean to tell me, who do you want to have in your lineup? Do you want to have Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, or Yelich? If you had to rank them, Yelich is fourth. I mean, it goes without saying. So this is why I thought the Brewers, I picked the Dodgers to win in 6. And if that's going to be the case, that means the Brewers are going to have to win 2 games at Dodger Stadium, which is not going to happen. But that's where we're at. And I get it that is a difference of opinion and even philosophy from that standpoint. It's not really philosophy, but it's just a difference of opinion based on what I've seen throughout the course of my life in sports. And Brent or even Cole, Bio, they're going to see, you guys are going to see what you see, and that's great. And that's what's beautiful about us getting together to have these type of discussions. And I can't wait to see what the comments are like, because I'm sure as I unpack them, I bet that there's going to be a healthy debate between whether or not we can easily foresee a team's fate before the games are actually played out. And it has nothing to do with, I have the magic solution or having that crystal ball, whatever, but it's just gut. Your gut tells you that this team is just not built to win in October. And I know I mentioned the Rays once upon a time in 2021. They won 100 games. And I get it, they went to the World Series the year before, pandemic year, but they won 100 games, they won a division. And people thought that, the Rays, they're going to be tough and they're probably going to get to a World Series. And what happened? They had a bye. They hosted the Red Sox, and they didn't even get to a 5th game as the Red Sox took care of them in 4. And again, Rays and how that organization is built. They're not built with big-time stars. Yes, they did have some very good pitching and good bullpen and relief, but yeah, that recipe isn't going to work. And I understand that's more of a Moneyball recipe. And even though they can win divisions and win a bunch of regular season games and have a good record here, let's say over the last 8 to 10 years, but what has it gotten them? All right, they made it to a World Series, and thank Kevin Cash for pulling Blake Snell in the 6th inning when he was dealing. And we could go back to the Moneyball A's and how they've been able to work the system. They even made a book, well, that comes from the book from Michael Lewis, and made it into a movie. But how many World Series banners are the Sacramento A's now, not Oakland A's? How many they're hanging in their facility? A big, fat, giant donut. All right, so I'll stop there and I'll check to the comments, but it's a fascinating topic to uncover and get into. So let's see what you guys and gals had to say. Let's see. Tatsuya, yeah, we got that there. Definitely Tatsuya, 100%. Big win last night. Bio. Oh, yes, I was here at Cole. All right, yes. Our Michigan neighbors, yes, indeed. We just got home. All right. I know this is weird. I'm over here looking to the right of the comments. I had to go get some of the best fruit punch on the planet, in my opinion. Everfresh fruit punch, best out there. Everfresh, is that? I gotta look that up. I'm sure it's the brand name, but is that a local thing? Because I don't think I've ever heard of that. Now you got me curious. Cole, fruit punch. Watch, it's only sold in the Midwest, as you were sharing that. Oh, and by the way, I did see that Fanta Chucky edition. I saw that I think it was in a Walmart the other day. Everfresh. I don't think I've ever seen this. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I see the label. All right, yeah, they got a fruit punch. They got some other flavors too. Island punch. All right. That's cool. So I'm sure you're kicking back on one of those right about now. They're cool. Val, much love to you back. I appreciate that. Need some rain here in Michigan. I don't go fishing soon. I may lose it. Yeah, it's rained here. Now, it's funny. It hasn't really rained from a standpoint of torrential rain or thunderstorms. It's just that steady mist. It wants to rain, but it doesn't want to rain. And we've had some wind, and the weather's been below average. Right now, it's what I showed you or told you before, 60 degrees. It feels like it's 50-something. So, and Brent is saying we got a light early morning rain, enough to make things wet. Yeah, still dry here. Yeah, I hope we get like some more 70-degree weather before it's all said and done. That's what I would like. All right, Warriors won preseason yesterday. I was watching the highlights. I didn't watch the game. Sharks, why have been so bad? Well, the Sharks are bad, Val, because they're a young team. They're not expected to do much this year. So that answers that. And I know basketball's 6 days away. Can't even believe it. It's so amazing to be a Dodger fan nowadays. I bleed blue. Well, Bio, obviously you're a diehard. You're from and live in LA. So you know what? Kudos to you, man. Look at that. Russell Westbrook just signed with Sacramento. That's what Brent was saying earlier. So, yep, Brent called it on top of it. Good job, Brent. All right, what do you got here, Cole? Hey, what happened now? Cole's comment. Are the Dodgers the new age Yankees? Spend whatever it takes to win rings. Yeah, you could say they're the new evil empire. Now, you know what would be fascinating? Framber Valdez is a free agent. Pete Alonso's a free agent, although the Dodgers aren't going to sign him. They have Freddie Freeman. But could you imagine if I think, isn't there another pitcher, or maybe I think it's a position player in Japan that is coming out this year, and I'm sure will be posted. I don't know how many years. I don't know if he's a young player or if he's played in the Japanese league for 6-7 years, which they have to post, and then they have to give him the big money. But could you imagine that they get another like big time player next year? Well, that's why next December, when the CBA is up, that's when all hell is going to break loose, and it's going to be Armageddon, because there are going to be some changes, I think, in Major League Baseball where I don't know if you're going to see a salary cap, but you may see a floor. I don't know about a ceiling, because they're going to shun that luxury tax, and the Dodgers don't care. The Dodgers payroll could be $500 million. And even though they found the loopholes with the contracts that the Bobby Bonilla Day, the ones that, of course, are, I can't even think of the word right now, not prorated. I know you'll help me in the comments. That are deferred. Jeez, why couldn't I think about that word? Is beyond me. But something's got to change. And the Dodgers, you can't knock them. They're going about it the right way. They're doing it the way the rules are. They're not breaking any rules. Because trust me, the Pirates could spend that amount of money if they wanted to. The Rays could spend that amount of money if they wanted to. The Marlins could. But obviously, we know LA's a big market. They have their own network. So therefore, they have bucks coming out of the wazoo. And that's the problem with baseball. I love it. Thank you for the update, Bio. Yes, Brent all over it. All right, San Francisco Giants haven't had a manager after firing Bob Melvin. Yeah, they'll probably hire a manager in the next couple of weeks. And the last name I heard Well, I read Albert Pujols to the Angels. Who did I read for the Giants? It'll come to me. But I did read something where the Giants were looking to hire somebody. Wasn't a big name. Geez, I have to look that up. Cole, I'm in conversation with the Giants for the job. I get a Jays. My hey, why not? Who knows? Imagine that, and then we'll have Val be the director of scouting. I'm all for it. I'm joking. We'll lose more money than I make. Forget about it. We'd be. But here's the thing. Obviously, we're not GMs. We're never going to be anywhere near front office. But just like I talk about with my team, when you're going to sign the likes of Frankie Montas and listen, I can't get on Griffin Canning, but I mean, please, like, what are we doing here? Mets got to sign starting pitching. And hopefully, from what David Stearns has seen, especially that's happening against his former team, that maybe I need to sign one of these guys. Yeah, how about it? You can't live off of the scrap heap and think that you're going to win a title without having a stud. And I hope he's not banking on the 3 rookies next year in order for him to think that, we'll have the 3 rookies and I have Senga and we still have Sean Manaea and that's enough. Absolutely not. Cole, Valby, I thought about coaching youth basketball, but I don't even like. Oh, geez. Well, yeah, that may not work, Cole. So good one there. Will Smith, there's also a Sharks player. I have his jersey, just letting you know. All right. Just worried about the team. Val, don't worry about the Sharks. They'll be fine. Again, they're a young team. They are trying to find their footing. It's going to be a few years before they even become relevant, let alone competitive. So, they'll be fine. It's not as if they're going to trade Macklin Celebrini or any of their young guys. Fishing Angel, good afternoon to you. Well, how come this isn't popping up? Shout out to Fishing Angel, of course. As always, Val. Oh, they'll win a game. And listen, my Islanders haven't won a game either. And they have a guy named Matthew Schaefer who looks like it could be the next Cale Makar, which if that's going to be the case, that's a good sign for the Islanders. Val saying hello to Fishing Angel. Some big cracks open in the Chicago series and a few stumbles down the stretch, which raised the red flags going into the playoffs. Yeah, and that's the thing. Especially that game 4. You lose a game 3, fine. And I understand what Ian Happ hit that home run in the first inning, 3-0. But man, they showed no fight in that game. Listen, I've said this about the Brewers, and I don't want to just pile on them, but am I even mildly surprised by the Brewers losing the first 2 games? Absolutely not. Because I thought they'd lose in 6. They would have gotten a split. LA would have won 2 out of 3 there, and then they would have won game 6 in Milwaukee. And as it is right now, that is a bad prediction on my part. Let's see what we got here. Val. Man, why isn't this clicking? Here we go. Red Wings look okay. Goalie does not, though. Yeah, I haven't followed the Red Wings. Went into Toronto last night, I know, based on what Brent said earlier. Val showing love to Cole and the Red Wings. Fishing Angel showing love. I love it. I love it. I love it. Falby, I just want them in the playoffs. It's been a long, even one and done. Yeah, I'd like to see what Connor Bedard is going to do. And that's what the Blackhawks. I got stuck on the Blackhawks as far as the Red Wings go because, anytime you have the Red Wings or any original 6 team in the playoffs, that is a big thing. And it's a good thing. Red Wings are good. My team is Sharks. All right, Val. All right, here we go. Now this is going back. I also said replay the tape. The Dodgers are current World Series champs and have to be the favorite going to the playoffs. I never said the Brewers had the best. Oh, no. No, I understand that, Brent. And listen, this was a tough matchup for them. But then, of course, I'm sure there were Brewer fans thinking that, tough matchup. We swept them in the regular season. But as we all know, that is, you just might as well just throw that in the garbage. And let me see. What'd you follow up with here, Brent? Hold on. Replay the tape. No, absolutely. And right. And listen, nobody's knocking what the Brewers did this year. But and I know maybe it's premature for me to say, maybe my gut is just one that's, I don't know, whether the bottom of my sports gut is rancid and jaded and cynical. And listen, I got nothing against the Brewers. I understand for them to be a quote unquote small market team with a payroll of about what 120 million. Anytime you're in the deep end of the pool like this, and listen, and even let's say it was against the Phillies would have been heavily favored to win this series as well because they have good starting pitching, they have a better lineup, and they have gamers. But the thing is that they couldn't hit. That's why they lost to the Dodgers. Red Wings will be in the playoffs as long as they get a different goalie. Yeah, who's the Red Wing goalie? I should know that. Why am I of course, when I think of the Red Wing goalie, I think of Chris Osgood, but of course that's 100 years ago. Let's see, Red Wings goalie. Yeah, I haven't followed the Red Wings the way I should. All right, here we go. Oh, Cam Talbot is their goalie and John Gibson. Yeah, Cam Talbot. He's bounced around Edmonton. Wasn't he in Calgary as well? I think it was also with the Rangers, if I'm not mistaken, for a cup of coffee. I go to Cam Talbot's career. And they played a game. Thank goodness. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, I was just looking to see what's happening in sports here. McElroy, man. Yeah, the Rangers. I'm going to get to them a little bit. Yeah, what else? No, the same old. Why is this? Yeah, let me get off this because I'm just looking at certain storylines and it's just like the same regurgitated garbage that you get everywhere else. As they put up a video saying, "Oh, is Patrick Mahomes in the MVP conversation?" Stop. Nobody cares. It's week 6 of the NFL season. I understand you got to talk about something, but you want to talk about the NFL, which I'm going to get to in a minute, and something that Brent also brought up, which I find fascinating. Based on what's happened here over the last couple of weeks, the NFL right now is wide open. And this is the problem that baseball is not having, that's having right now with baseball, is that you don't have parity. You need to have parity in the sport. I mean, the Colts are 5-1. And I understand they played nobody, but think about that. They have the best record in the AFC based on Buffalo losing. Chiefs are 3-3. I know the Steelers are 4-1. They had to buy, and they haven't played anybody either, Pittsburgh. Let's face it. Everybody knows I'm a Steelers fan, but geez. But we'll touch on that in a little bit. But let me go back. Val was in Joe Thornton's hometown last week or a sports card show. Oh, that's cool. You didn't see Joe Thornton, did you, Brent? And he didn't show. Answer my question. Cool. This is weird. I just connected my phone to my TV, and you're on my TV right now. Is that right? Oh, geez. Now you see my big head splashed all on your TV. Well, I guess it's probably better to watch it on TV just so you don't have to be on your phone, I would think. Pina Colada Everfresh is the best. Yeah, I definitely want to look into that. I have not seen that, though. Everfresh looks like a Bodega brand Snapple. That's a good one, Tatsuya. Bio, Brent, you collect cards? I used to back in the day. I haven't, although I do have cards in storage, but I got cards. I have cards going back to the 90s, and they're in sleeves. I'll never forget, I had a Jerry Rice reflector card, and it was one of those that was, they only had 1,000 made, and moving many moons ago, I believe it was in 1999. Yeah, moving out as the nomad that I was at the time. Yeah, for some reason I lost it. Or maybe somebody stole it for all I know. But yeah, that was a bad break on my part. Who knows how much that card would be worth today? Now we know about the AL and NLCS. We haven't had a decent rain in over a month. Is that right? It hasn't rained that long there, Cole? Yeah, that's bananas. Bio, I'm going to get really greedy right now as a Dodger fan. Hope that the Dodgers win 4 in a row to beat the Yankees and the Dodgers to be truly evil empire. Yeah. No, listen. And Dodgers, Mariners, as much as I want to get into that, I got to talk about the Mariners next. Yeah, I was going to start talking. It's a little premature. You never know, Toronto, but still, I think that. Oh, Trey E. Savage. Yeah, how did he pitch the other night? Ugh, awful. Anyway, you're ice cold. Another ice cold. Was that directed toward me or toward? If it was, fine. That's fine, Brent. It's all love. Fishing Angel got the fishing blues. With a name like Fishing Angel, I'm sure that is where you want to be. Oh, here we go. Tatsuya has it right here. Get ready, Cole and Fishing Angel. Yeah, they're going to want more, I think. Jet Williams was an infielder prospect. I think he plays outfield as well. David Peterson, Jonah Tong. To me, you have to give up more than that. They're probably going to want Tong, Sproat, and or McLean. Yeah, they're going to want 3 pitchers and maybe a position player. Here's the problem, and I said this on one of my shorts the other day, the day after the 15-inning game. And Tatsuya, Purist, Rhoda, let me know what you think about this. Let's say if that trade takes place and Skubal is a Met and Scott Boras is his agent, to where they're going to offer – now the Mets aren't going to offer anything more than 5 years. Just think about their history with pitchers. I understand that's Fred Wilpon. It's not Steve Cohen. But is Steve Cohen really going to dish out an 8-year, let's just say, $250 million contract? I think not. And even Steve Cohen, as we all know, is the richest owner in Major League Baseball. I don't see that happening. But just for the sake of this discussion, if Skubal is a Met, did you like what you saw, or did you like what you – did I say that right? Did you like what you see? Did you like what you watched? How about that? Friday night in that deciding Game 5 game in Seattle. Now, listen, Skubal was dominant. He was dealing. Struck out Cal Raleigh on his last pitch, his 99th pitch, on a 101-mile fastball, 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Let me enunciate here, please. Yeah, I can't even speak. And mind you, I'm going without water. Here's my coaster. So, yeah, no water, no vodka, no coconut water, no watermelon juice. I'm raw dogging this live stream. But as far as him walking off the mound, 99 pitches, 2-1 lead, and they actually just took the lead in the top of the 6th. You mean to tell me you couldn't go out in the 7th inning? And in the postgame, A.J. Hinch said that after the 5th inning, he felt that Skubal had one more inning left, and then Skubal came into the dugout and said, "Yeah, Skip, I have one more inning left." I'm sorry. I know he walked off the mound screaming, yelling, and figuring that he emptied the tank. But I'm not paying a guy $250 million that, not to say he's afraid or not to say that he's unwilling to do so, but if I'm paying you top dollar and it's a Game 5 for our lives to get to the next round, you're pitching until your arm falls off. I'm sorry. I'm telling you before the game, not during the game. If I was Hinch, I would have said, I understand you emptied the tank there. Can you give me one batter in the 7th? Come on. To me, if I'm a GM, that would scare me. And I don't care what Scott Boras with his stupid playbooks and all that and what he's going to whip out, his binders and folders. I'm going to be like, no. And I think part of the reason is that he knew that if he went all out in that inning, that he would be scot-free of falling into that bad inning, let's say in the 7th. And as I said that night while watching, and then the next day on the short, I said, I wouldn't have done that, and not knowing what Hinch and the discussions that he had with Skubal at the time. But I thought to myself, did Skubal take himself out or did Hinch take him out? And then to make matters worse, and there's a classic second guess that people, when Finnegan came in and they gave up the run in the bottom of the 7th, you should have kept Skubal in. To me, first guess, I would have kept him in. He threw 107 pitches in 7 2/3 innings against the Guardians in the wild card game 10 days prior to that. Why can't he go and start the 7th inning? So to me, I'd be scared to trade for him because that's a guy that I want him pitching 7, 8 innings every time out. Not, give me everything for 6 and away we go. Nonsense. Bio. I was a Han Solo fan growing up, but the Dodgers are starting to make me. Bio. We're going to call him Bio Vader. No, but Bio, obviously, he gets the ultimate respect from me. So, listen, that's the team. 3 years ago, the Mets were the evil empire. When they brought in Scherzer, when they brought in Verlander. Well, Scherzer was before Verlander, but you know what I'm saying. And what has that gotten them? Nothing. Thank you, Val. Much appreciated. Bio, I collect $100 bills. Yes, happy Wednesday. It is hump day today. This is very crappy when you connect your phone to your TV. Why is it not? Is it lagging? Is it not as fluid as the phone? Oh, my screen froze. I'm sure I'm back by now. I think it's because it almost timed out or it timed out for a second. Sharks have Will Smith. Yeah, next game, Utah Mammoth, road game to them. Yeah, San Jose will be fine, I think. Wow. Bio, way too many since 1968. Yes. I know. I got to catch up on this. I still got to get to Seattle, NFL. Wait, hold on a second. All right, I said posted that one up there. Big too many to name. Oh, I said you were ice cold because you froze. Ah, my apologies there, Brent. Tigers getting traded. He has already said he's not talking contracts with the Tigers this offseason. And why is that? Who's his agent? Bastard, Scott Boras. That's right, I said it, and it's live. Wow, is he playing the negotiation play already that he won't talk? He should, and he's going into the last year of his contract. So unless the Tigers have put forth a contract or an offer and School's already rejected it. Now, if that's the case, I want to know what the offer is because as Cole and I, as we talked about this weeks ago, if the Tigers offer 6 years, $180 million, and he's like, nope, thanks, but no thanks. Then the Tigers, they've washed their hands. They can walk away scot-free. So after Friday night, it looked like Tarek was thinking about money, not to win. I agree 100% with you on that one, Cole. AJ said he would pitch. Tarek to 200 if that's what it took to see AJ. Yeah. I'm sorry. He has to go deep in that game. I mean, look at Snell and Yamamoto the last 2 nights. And the bullpen blew that game for him, which was on the winning side when he left. And I understand it was the slimmest of margin. It was 2-1, but come on. Let's see. Next comment. Cole. Oh, Brent. Hey, Darth Vader, lightsaber away. My daughter's cat is Han Solo, baby. Hey. Val, who has not won a game in NHL, just Sharks and Islanders, right? I believe so. Let me pull that up and I'll see right now. Standings. No, Buffalo's 0-3. Yeah, that's it. Those are the only 3 teams that do not have a win. What are you going to do? Islanders, who they play tonight? No, they play tomorrow. Against Edmonton, because Edmonton was at the Garden last night. All right, let's see what we got here. Love the comments, people. I appreciate that. Maybe it was everyone, but you froze on the TV. I had to close YouTube. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Mets go after Zach Gallen or Framber Valdez or Ranger Suarez. I'm thinking. I don't want Framber Valdez, although he can be a big-time pitcher, but in big spots, but nah, when his curveball's not working, pass. I do like Ranger Suarez. I do like Zach Gallen. I probably want Suarez only because he's left-handed as well. Because you have he and Dave Peterson are the only 2 lefty starters on your squad. So I would pick those guys. I would pick Suarez over Gallen. I understand Framber is left-handed, but I'd pick Suarez over Valdez. Yes, Buffalo Islanders and Sharks now after Schneid. But I'll be okay, Brent. Hey, good in sports knowledge. Like to hear that. Macklin and Will Smith are struggling Sharks this season. And then George Kittle, of course, we know. And what is this? You're too kind, Val. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, it's all good here. I think I'm all caught up. Yes, I believe I'm all caught up with the comments. All right, so now let's quickly go to Seattle. And let me put this back up here. Listen, Toronto's been a massive disappointment here. They haven't done anything offensively. You saw what happened there in game one. They got a hit in the second. They got a home run and a hit in the second inning, and they didn't get another hit the rest of the game in game one. And then even though they tied the game in game number 2, but after Jorge Polanco hit that 3-run homer, that was game, set, match. I guess the question now has to be, can Toronto or Milwaukee win game 3 to at least make it somewhat respectable? I'd actually like Toronto's chances more, although that is going to be a raucous crowd tonight in the Pacific Northwest. But if I see a sweep, I see more Dodgers over Brewers than Mariners over Blue Jays. But yeah, I mean, it's a wrap. I don't know what else to say that I haven't already been said as far as the Dodgers go. And the Mariners, they've never been to a World Series, and they're on a magic carpet ride. They're going to the World Series. And Dodgers Mariners would not be bad. I'd actually think it'd probably be better than them and the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays don't really have, in my eyes, enough pitching the way the Mariners do. And yeah, you think of Logan Gilbert, you think of George Kirby, you think of Luis Castillo, Brian Wu. I'm sure he's going to get a start here at some point. So yeah, they are firing on all cylinders. Can't forget Bryce Miller. So I think that'd be a much better series, Dodgers Mariners, than Dodgers Blue Jays. But that place is going to be rocking tonight there at T-Mobile Park. Looking forward to seeing how that's going to shake down. And yeah, baseball could be in the wilderness think about this, by Friday night, because you have the 2 games in Seattle where if they do sweep them, the series will be over before you get to Friday. And then Thursday's when the Dodgers are back. And if they beat the Brewers on Friday, that's it. You got a week between games, which is brutal to say the least. But that is it for your. Oh, I didn't update that? Yeah, it should be week 7. I didn't even look at the schedule just yet. And you got the Steelers playing tomorrow. But that's what you have there with the baseball as we move it along. And let me see. We got some comments here. Yeah, now my mouth's starting to get dry, so I got to get me some water here. Cole, I got too big of I would lose so much money. Coaching role. I know. I can't make out. Wait, hang on, people. You ready for this? The unveiling. Glasses. And, of course, they have to be cleaned. And then with the ring light, I can't even make out what that emoji is. Yeah, I can't even make it out. Look, I'm looking like an old man over here. Not good. I heard, what's this by Brent? Oh, what is this? Hold on. Fishing Angel? Yes, you would, babe, because you speak your mind. Oh, hey. 100%. I heard this morning Max Scherzer is scheduled for game 4. What does Scherzer have left in the tank? Maybe he could turn back the clock for one performance, but I don't know. Thanks to Val, of course. I picked Sabres too. And then Mouth. Yeah, that goes back to this comment from a short time ago. All right, it's not coming up. So with the NFL, I think right now the NFL, and I'll get to the schedule in a second, it is wide open. When a lot of people thought 2 weeks ago that it was Buffalo, I can't even say Baltimore, I can't even say the Chiefs, although they've righted the ship. And then the NFC, Green Bay got off to that great start, and Philly. Even San Francisco was 4-1 before they lost there on Sunday. But yeah, any one of those teams could come out, and a lot could happen. We know injuries and things of that nature. But I would think that Roger Goodell and company likes what he sees when it comes to how the teams aren't that far apart. I mean, unless you're the Jets, and even the Jets are 4 games back, but they do have the losses against Buffalo, and they have not played New England yet. But my point is that the parity in the sport and knowing that you don't have that 1, 2, 3 dominant teams that you would think are automatically going to make it to a Super Bowl, which could make some for interesting sports talk fodder from here on out. Because right now, the NFL season, although you've had some good games, whatever, but yeah, it has been mostly quiet. A lot of it with the injuries and the schedule. That 17th game, as you well know, I can't stand. But let me take a look at their schedule real quick. Now, it starts tomorrow with Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. That is a game that if you're the Steelers, you have to beware, because Joe Flacco in uniform to trade last week. He's well familiar with that Steeler defense. Granted that the parts are different, but with the zone blitzing, the attacking defense that they have, and with Flacco being a student of that, you'd have to wonder whether or not the Browns, or excuse me, the Steelers, I'm thinking Bengals, the Steelers, if they're able to step up their defense a little bit, which I understand has been better as of late, but to keep Rodgers upright and to get that ground game going, they got some yards on the ground there last week against the Browns. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't beat the Bengals and put themselves in better stead in AFC North, where the Ravens are, it's crazy to even say this, 4 games back. But they still have 2 against the Steelers, and I don't think the Ravens are dead just yet. They have a bye here, and then they come back from the bye where they could have Lamar Jackson. So, but yeah, that's the one thing. NFL has it spread out. It's not a situation where baseball, it's top heavy. Oh, you have Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, or you want to say Mets, even though they didn't make it. But Red Sox, those are the teams that are always going to be at the forefront when it comes to baseball. NFL in any given year, I understand Lions, Eagles, Bills, Niners, and it could be a team that's out there that, trying to think that I'm not remembering right now, but you already know, oh yeah, that's a team that's already part of the mix there at the end of the year. So for them to have that type of broad, I won't say scope, but for them to have that broad amount of teams that could play into whether a wild card, a division, et cetera, obviously it's a good thing for the NFL, and that's why they thrive, and that's why they're the best sport. Oh, I may have timed out again. And if I did, my apologies, because again, I got to wake up my laptop. Every week, I think I change the settings on that to say to not time out, and it still times out. All right, so your week 7 schedule, let's get to that real quick. Yeah, so you got Pittsburgh at Cincinnati tomorrow. And let's take a look here. LA at Jacksonville. New Orleans at Chicago. Miami at Cleveland, no thanks. New England at Tennessee, I'll pass. Vegas at Kansas City, no mas. Philly at Minnesota. Yeah, that's not a bad game. That one I actually like. Washington at Dallas. Green Bay at Arizona. Atlanta at San Francisco. And then you have 2 more Monday night games. Tampa, Detroit. Very good. Excellent. And then Houston at Seattle. Not bad. Buffalo and Baltimore are your buys. I'm not. Listen, it's not a bad schedule. Yeah, I miss Carolina at New York. Jets, that is. Giants at Denver. Indianapolis at L.A. to play the Chargers. And they were just in L.A. a couple weeks ago, and they played the Rams. No, it's not a bad schedule. I like it. You know me, hate the 2 Monday night games. Nothing personal about the teams that are playing, but just from a standpoint of the doubleheader. You want to stick to one game and not bounce around between ESPN, ABC, and then TBS or Fox to watch the baseball. But that is your scenario with the schedule this week. And let me see if there's anything else I need to bring up while I'm here. Football. – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – – –– – –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– –– All right. Yeah, I think that's just about it. Yeah, you had a couple of releases. CJ Gardner Johnson. Oh, wait. By the way, yeah, the Ravens released him. Yeah, I thought he got picked up somewhere. And no, that's pretty much it. So that's it with the NFL. Just want to make sure I get this on point. College this week. What is there to touch on? Here's your schedule, at least of the good games. LSU at Vandy. That's high noon Saturday. Oklahoma, South Carolina. Michigan State at Indiana. Ole Miss at Georgia. That's a very good game. And then, no, I don't like the 7:30 games. Hold on. Oh, Tennessee at Alabama. That's a great game. USC Notre Dame. That's South Bend. Yeah, so I think that's it. That's it for college football. You do have a few good games, but yeah, Tennessee and Alabama. That's the big one. I do like, yeah, Utah BYU. That's not bad. I'm not going to hate on that, but I'm not going to be running to the sets to watch that. And then USC and Notre Dame. That's also big game. So you do have a few games to chew on this weekend in college football. So that you most definitely like. All right, now all right, here we go. Let me turn my attention to a couple of things with one, the NHL. Do you know that the New York Rangers are the first team since the 1928 Pittsburgh Pirates? No, not the baseball team. There was a hockey team named the Pirates where they've gotten shut out at home in their first 3 games. And that, my friends, is an abomination. Let me just take this graphic off now. That is an abomination. Oh, I didn't even have the crawl down here. Come on. Let's go, Cheerios. There you go. Rangers can't light the lamp in their building. They get shut out by Pittsburgh last week in the home opener, Washington on Sunday, and then Edmonton last night. Their next home game is Monday night against the Minnesota Wild. They go on the road to play Toronto and Montreal Thursday and Saturday. And of course, the Rangers at some point are going to score, and I would think in the next game they will, even if they don't score in the Maple Leaf, Scotiabank Arena, as well as the Bell Center. But yeah, if you're a Ranger fan, that's a rough start to know that you haven't scored a goal in a home game, and you're already 3 games in. So I would think they're going to score in the next game. Hopefully to get that out and they can exhale, relax, and maybe play a little bit better. And they played hard last night against Edmonton, but Edmonton's Stuart Skinner made 30 saves. He was standing on his head, and that's the performance that they hope to get bottled up. Edmonton, that is, to bring into the postseason when he has one of those nightmarish type of games. But yeah, that's what's happening in NHL. There's not much that's going on with the National Hockey League. I just thought that was a story to bring up only because it's a record or it could surround the record. Now, for the modern era, that is the most minutes that have gone by without a home team scoring a goal. So we'll wait and see on that. But besides that, that's it with the NHL. And NBA, we already know next week. Looking forward to the season tipping off. And yeah, for those out there, I will have an NBA preview. Just keep that in mind as we move it along. It may just be released on YouTube. I don't know if we're going to release that as a podcast. So just keep it on your dial there. I would think by Friday I would know because I'm going to, once I'm done here, got to definitely get something to drink, even something to eat for that matter, and then see what I could do to get cracking. And what is this? Jetstar Mangold seeking kidney transplant. Oh, wow. But anyway, I digress. Stay in a moment right here. Not off to check the latest headlines. So, yeah. How I am looking forward to the over-unders for the NBA. And I'll break those down probably on Monday's podcast, and that'll be part of the video. But again, it's not going to be released as a podcast. It's going to go straight to YouTube. So for those who are curious about round ball and where I stand when it comes to the NBA, as far as who will be in the final, who will win, etc., over unders, I got you covered there when we get closer in the beginning of next week when it comes to that. Now, let me see. Other than that, people, that's it. Make sure. Yeah, check the comments. Let's go through that real quick. All right, that's Brent's comment, but hold on. All right, here we go. Playing Friday. Yeah, I'm going through these comments, people, so I know it's tough when you see me off there like this. Yeah, I've already read that one. I'm just trying to get back to my place. Boba. All right, here we go. This is, I think, pick up where I left off. With Boba out of the lineup, it changed a lot, especially how the rest of the lineup is now being pitched. I mean, Boba was a guy that led the American League in hits. I mean, how could you not miss his bat in the lineup? So, Val saying what's up, and he picked Suarez too. All right, and then lips and lipstick. What's happening here? Oh, that's what you call it? Chiefs are the ones that started, and the Lions only defending themselves. What, you're talking about the fight there, Fishing Angel? With Brian Branch and Juju Smith-Schuster? Yeah, it was a terrible job by Branch. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, seriously? So he gets suspended a game. And then Cole, as a Lions fan, I'm proud of what Branch did. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Brown then found out. Yep. And that's the thing, because when you have a player that's going to do that, swinging another player after the whistle's blown, why even bother? You're going to get suspended and probably fined on top of that. That was just a terrible job by Branch. All right, Chiefs are the ones talking. What do you think about the Lions? Well, I mean, the Lions have weapons, ground game. I think they could use more secondary help. Linebackers are good. They're solid, not spectacular. I don't even know. I'm just trying to think. Let me go back to this. The Chiefs. I know I'm sick of the Chiefs. Everybody had Chief fatigue. The Lions and yeah, I think the Lions, if you ask me, I know you can't discount the Eagles. They have the better roster, but the Lions are a team that I feel this is something that you would only hope it doesn't hurt them, that they'll rally around this. And I'm not trying to make Brian Branch out to be Ronnie Lott, but whenever you have a guy that's going to be out and a key component of your defense, and yeah, when I looked at the schedule, what do they got this week again? Hold on. Detroit. Oh, they host Tampa, right, Monday night. And then they got Houston and Seattle. And that's a big game. And Tampa, obviously, they are the hottest team in the sport. So how I look at it is, even without Branch in this game, you can only hope that the team and Campbell doesn't lose the locker room or lose the players. And not to say he's gonna, or there's any reports of that, but you never know. When Branch does this, then they feel like another player on the team could act a fool. You got to nip that sucker in the bud. I'm sure he has. We know how fiery of a coach he is. So to me, I think it's interesting how the Lions will play moving forward. And even in this Monday, knowing that he's not going to be in the lineup, how they play. However, it's going to be the healthiest going into the playoffs and stay that way. No, I know. There's just a ton of injuries. Yeah, it's just a ton. I know this is so weird. I got to sit up. Hold on. Because I know I'm like bending down. You can't really see me. I'm looking at the. Yeah, I look at, you know what's interesting? You could say that, Brent, and you're right. And of course, who's the hottest team, etc. But lately in the NFL, as you like to say, the cream does rise to the top. You haven't had those upsets or those big time upsets in the early rounds. Like the wild card round in the NFL is a joke. I mean, it's a putrid first round. I mean, we can go through all the games. I know last year the best game out of them all was that Washington Tampa game because all the other games were terrible. Baltimore Pittsburgh, oof, put me to sleep. Denver Buffalo. Denver had that touchdown on the opening drive, that bomb, Bo Nix, and you think, oh, hey, after that game was over, Buffalo won. Rams killed Minnesota on the Monday night, which I can't stand the Monday night wildcard game. Who else? There's one more. Oh, Houston and the Chargers. What did Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions? I mean, the wildcard games are terrible. It's almost if don't even watch that round. Just go to the divisional round and wait for the 1 seeds to come in. And that's the thing. I tell you, college football don't care anymore. Yeah, my team is garbage. Yeah, I know. And Michigan. Oh, you're talking about the Lions. You're not talking about Michigan. I know. With the talent on the blue shirts, there's still a hot mess. Sullivan isn't the answer. I know. Isn't that something? They bring in Sullivan thinking that, hey, he has his pedigree, blah, blah, blah. No. Not off to a good start, especially at home. Juju Smith's hit from behind. Right. All right. But his young man stood up at the end of the game, though. Was that the time to pick a fight or to swing on him? And I know Juju could be a pest, even in his days in the Steelers. Yeah, Brent's got 1 game. Should have known better. Yeah, I mean, that's like taking a cheap shot after the whistle in hockey. You do something like that. So, yeah, I definitely don't. Yeah, I didn't agree with what he did, and he should have known better than to do that. If he wants to get in his face and point fingers and all that, that's one thing. But to swing on him the way he did, no good. Brent, I agree. If you watch the whole clip, 10 of the Chiefs. All right, I'm doing that. I don't have my glasses, right? That's another thing. I put them back. But I got to clean them, though. Oh, Bio, I see your question there, and I'm going to laugh. I'm laughing at it now. Yeah. Yeah, he pushed out and found out. No, absolutely. And that's the thing. Yeah, Juju's a guy that with his TikToks and dancing on the Bengal logo when he was with the Steelers, and then he got depleted in that game. And, I like Juju. I think he's a good receiver. He had that one great year where he had, I think, like 111 catches. He was almost, I want to say he may have been second team All-Pro that year. But, yeah, now Juju is, obviously he's a good player, but he's not good enough to be throwing his weight around. And I understand he's making football plays out there, but still, when you break it down, the last thing Juju Smith-Schuster needs to do is get in people's faces like that. He's not Hines Ward. Hines Ward, who would block and get in people's faces, but I guess there was more of a respect factor with Ward than there is with Juju. So, and like Cole said, yeah, he pushed it and he found out. Now, it wasn't right what Branch did, but still. And the funny thing is with this ring light, it's like these glasses make it even worse. Here we go. I could. And now that I think about it, yeah, he'd play second base to go along with Freeman, Mookie, and Muncy. And he is a free agent. Oh, boy. And you know what will happen? They'll pay him $250 million for 8 years, but it really is going to be $2.5 million a year because they'll have the rest of that money deferred. That's why the Bobby Bonilla thing has to go out the window. Bobby Bonilla Day, July 1st. Everybody wants to rag on the Met fan and me, whatever. Oh, Bobby Bonilla Day. Well, the Dodgers have like 8 players that are getting deferred contracts. I understand it's by Bonilla. It's not Shohei. I get it. Rams vs. Jaguars Sunday morning in London. Oh, I know. Oof. Yeah, that's an early morning for you. I can't stand the games overseas. Can we just get rid of those, please? They're never going to do that. But yeah, that's an early morning for you, Bio. 6:30. Well, let me think about that for a second. Hold on. Yeah, because here 9:30 in the East is nothing. Because if you watch games from 9:30 to like 11:30, that's what? 14 hours of football. So that means from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. You know what's even better than that? Watching the NFL in Hawaii, which is 3 hours behind you, Bio, because that's waking up at 7 in the morning to watch the 1 o'clock games here on the East Coast. And to think when the Sunday night game is over, the Sunday night game will end like 5:30 Hawaii time. Oh my God. You could go out to dinner. I mean, I'm jealous already. But no, I would prefer West Coast, man. Yeah, to think. Game's over 8:30 at night. That's why the East Coast always gets screwed. Even the Super Bowl ends at 10 o'clock. Then you got to clean up and all that. At least in the West Coast, the Super Bowl ends 7 o'clock. You're good to go. You still have the rest of the night to do whatever, clean or chill or do nothing. All right, Cole. Did Branch need to hit Juju? No, but the pushing and standing up for himself and his team. Yeah, no, I dig that. Yeah, it's like the whole old hockey mentality, which I love. Yeah, if you're going to push Wayne Gretzky around, now this is back in the day, but hockey in this day and age is a far cry from what it once was. But yeah, let's say if you're going to run Wayne Gretzky, if you're going to run Steve Yzerman, you're going to run Brett Hull, you're going to have to face Dave Semenko or Bob Probert or Tony Twist. And therefore, yeah, you're going to get chased after. And I understand fighting is legal in hockey as opposed to football not being. But yeah, I know I'm pleased. And me, I could talk forever about the old days of hockey. And I'm talking about late 70s to about the early 90s. Because all those tough guys, oh man, I love those guys. And you have to go back in the archives because I've interviewed Darryl Stanley, who was a former Flyer defenseman and was part of the last great hockey brawl ever. May 14th, 1987. That was the fight before the game started. If you remember, Philadelphia, Montreal before game 6 of the conference semifinals. And I also had Kevin McClelland on, who was a tough guy there, played for Edmonton in the 80s. And those guys, man, you talk about some good stories. Now you have to go deep in the archive. You got to go to one of those let me think. I'd have to pull that up. You have to go to one of the podcast platforms because it's only going to house the last 300. Yeah, I don't like the way the glasses with the ring light. So yeah, so you got that to look forward to. But yeah, I could talk about those old days so I'm blue in the face. Does he go back to Dad's old team in the Mile High City? Does he go back to Dad's old team in the Mile High City? Wait, I'm trying to piece that together there, Brent. Dad's old team in the Mile High City. Who are you referring to? Why am I drawing blanks with that? Does he go back to Dad's old team? Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to. I should know that, but I guess my brain is working overdrive here. All right, I have a couple of things I want to say before I sign off. My sports history videos, I have one that's already done. I have another one that's almost finished. And I'm going to release them by week's end. So Friday, you're going to get one, and I may release one on Sunday. And I'm working on a few others. And a lot of this is tailored around baseball because it is October, but I think you'll get a kick out of them. And definitely check the YouTube channel. I'll put up the link. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you guys. You guys are on top of it, which I truly appreciate. So, yeah, you got that coming through. Obviously, a podcast pregame tomorrow, as you know, 9:30. Let's see if yes, Fishing Angel, to you too. Brent, I'm curious about that Dad's old team. Thank you, Fishing Angel. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the podcast pregame, let's see if the Blue Jays can get back in the series. We'll talk about that. NFL, it being more wide open, I'll even dissect it a little bit more. And whatever else is happening in sports, go through the college, go through a couple of other things that I didn't discuss on the live stream that I'll save for tomorrow. But that's what I have. And does he have to go back to Dad's old team in Mile High City? I'm still trying to think about that. All right, let's see what we got here. Yes, you know about this. And any last thoughts from the chat room? You guys and gals, start posting it up there, whatever it may be. And of course, I'll answer, and I see a few comments there. And as you do or do not know, of course, please subscribe. I mean, you guys already know. But for those who are watching for the first time, latest edition of the podcast coming tomorrow. As you know, Apple, Spotify, jreels.com, of course, here on YouTube at jreels. And of course, I'll keep you abreast on the jreels podcast channel there on YouTube as to when I'm going to start putting the pods on there. Still going to be another couple of weeks, but you will know and well in advance. And thanks to all for stopping by live or on replay. You know that. Let me get to these comments here before I bid adieu. If there's anything else you want me to say here, Cole, you the man. Have a good day as well. Oh, Dante Bichette. Oh, Colorado. You know, I love your wordplay, and it's funny when you say Dad's team. And I'm thinking I had football on the brain. I wasn't even thinking. And you're probably saying, Jay Reels, you have for sleep? Yeah, maybe I am a little bit here because I wasn't putting 2 and 2. I got stuck on the football team for some reason. I was not thinking baseball. Of course, Dante Bichette was a Colorado Rocky for many years, especially during when they first came into Major League Baseball in 93, 95. I believe he led the league in home runs one year. But yes, I should have known that, Brent. My apologies. Now, is he going to go to his dad's team, Colorado? Oh, that is a snowball's chance in hell right there. There is no way Colorado, worst team in the sport. Now, maybe for nostalgic sake, but I'm sure Dante Bichette would be like, that's the last place I want to play. But that's a good one, though. I like that. College football on a Tuesday yesterday was. I know. I saw those scores there, Cole. I didn't understand that. I said to myself, wait, did I miss something here? Let me see what those scores were yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. Those are like what, Division II teams? I don't even know if they were Division I. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, that was weird. I couldn't believe I saw that schedule. Yeah, 3 games last night. Yeah, New Mexico State, Liberty, Arkansas State, South Alabama. Yeah, I mean, and Western Kentucky, Florida, and FIU. Yeah. I don't know why they played on a Tuesday, but that was weird. I totally agree with you on that. And Florida in town tonight, yes. And Florida lost their first game to Philly the other day, which I was a little surprised. Every day this week, there's going to be games, 3 games today. Is college football now going to take the page out of the NFL that we have to have a game every day of the week? Now, I'm exaggerating when I say that, but, as you get deeper into the year, they're going to play on Christmas. They want to play on this day, that day, Saturday. I mean, the NFL running themselves ragged as always. So, but yes, guys, thanks for hopping on board. I appreciate you all. And again, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, podcast pregame. So we'll reconvene then, talk about what's happening tonight in sports, among other things. And I appreciate you all. So with that being said, I will just about get ready to sign off because whether you do or do not know, this is what I love to do, people. It's in the blood. It's in the DNA. Talking sports is birth. As long as I'm sitting in front of this microphone and camera, I'm going to continue to deliver the pain, the passion, the fire, the energy, the fury with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are. The J Reels live stream always comes live, correct, directed, in full effect. And I see Fishing Angel, I'm quite tired of football just because the Lions in Michigan are losing. Yeah, and the thing is that there's still, 11 weeks left in the NFL season, 12 weeks when I think about it, because you got to go to week 18. And Michigan, and yes, correction, 2 games today. Oh, look at that. It's only 2. And now that I think about it, I think you mentioned this the other day, Cole. Who's Michigan playing this week? Pulling them up now. Let's see. I think you mentioned this a couple days ago. Oh, that's right. I play in Washington. A rematch of the championship game a couple of years ago, although it's a far cry from it. But yes, thank you, Brent. I appreciate that as always, as always, as always, as always. I don't like the fishing angel stealing my number one crown next to my name. Hey, that's all right. If anybody's going to do so, it might as well be her, right? Absolutely. She's cracking up. Brent, you take care, my man. You know, I appreciate you as well as I do Cole, Fishing Angel, Bio, Val, Purist, Rhoda, Everyday Mets. What did he have? Didn't he have like Big Chips? That was another name that he had. Where's Miles? Haven't seen Miles in a while. Yeah, I joke. I joke. Yes, have a great day, everybody. Cole, much appreciate you again. Likewise to you, Fishing Angel. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of your hump day, Wednesday. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. And until tomorrow, 9:30 on the podcast pregame on the flip, baby.